The mastermind. Everyone's gaze fell on the beautiful lady when they heard that. Had he said that at any other time, none of them would have believed him. In fact, they might even have brushed it off as a lie. But after everything that had happened, they had no choice but to consider his words seriously. After all, they had just witnessed a corpse moving around with such vitality. At this point, nothing seemed impossible anymore. Hey, miracle doctor, I haven't crossed you before this, have I? Why are you setting me up? The beautiful lady frowned with a troubled expression. Dustin, you better not be accusing others without solid proof. Hector warned him gravely. His brother had just experienced the pain of losing his son, and now, his wife was accused of being the perpetrator. This was no doubt rubbing salt in his wound. That's right. What proof have you got to claim that our sister-in-law has anything to do with this? Jacob demanded loudly. I must have a certain level of confidence to accuse someone of something so severe. Dustin gazed pointedly at the woman and said, Quentin's body has a unique scent on it. And she has the same smell on her, only much stronger. If you don't believe me, go ahead and catch a whiff. A few of the ladies who stood close to the woman went closer and sniffed the air around her. Immediately they nodded. He's right. She does have a special scent on her, and it's the same scent on Quentin's body. Everyone's expression changed when they heard that, and their look on the woman turned wary. I've always been using fragrances that I formulate myself, and Quentin's my son. What's so strange about my scent rubbing off on him? She tried her best to explain the situation. The scent is just a point of suspicion. It isn't solid evidence, and it doesn't prove anything. Hector shook his head. It didn't make sense to pin the blame on someone based on a scent. Of course, that isn't all. Dustin approached the woman and circled her as he continued. People who are well versed in the mystic arts usually have something different about them because they feed the venomous insects that they breed with their blood. With time, some changes will happen to their body. What changes? Hector probed. Ordinary people have crimson red blood, but people who practice the mystic arts will have blood which is black and acutely poisonous. All you need to do now is to check her blood, and the truth shall be uncovered. Dustin stated nonchalantly. Nonsense. The woman shouted. What do you mean you're going to check my blood? That's ridiculous. Celeste, it'd be best to run a test to prove your innocence, Hector persuaded. What? Do you really believe the rubbish he said? Celeste asked, feeling wronged. This is a grave matter, Celeste. You should cooperate with us on this, Jacob echoed. Honey, they're joining hands and putting me in a difficult position. Are you just going to watch as they treat me like this? With tears in her eyes, Celeste turned to Trent for help. Jacob. Hector. I'm your elder brother. Are you not going to show me any respect? Trent roared. His son had just passed away, and now, they were turning on his wife. Of course he couldn't take it. Trent. You've got to see the big picture here. Hector said seriously. If Celeste is innocent, I'll make a public apology. That's right. Trent. This is a matter that affects the future of our family. We can't risk it. Everyone can be at ease once we just run a quick test on her blood. Jacob coaxed. Fine. From the looks of it, you've all been brainwashed by this rascal. Trent spat through clenched jaws. Then, he furiously said. All right. If you insist on running a test on Celeste's blood, then fine, we'll do it. Wife turns out to be innocent. I'll cut this brat's tongue off. Sure, Dustin agreed. Honey, you know that the sight of blood makes me faint. The woman shrunk back with a scared look. Don't worry. It'll be over before you know it. Once we prove your innocence, I'll make sure he pays. Trent said confidently. Check her blood. With a wave of Hector's hand, two women swiftly came forward and proceeded to take a blood sample from Celeste. But right before they managed to do so, she sighed regrettably. I never thought that I'd be exposed so soon. What a waste of my excellent acting skills. What? Trent, who stood by the side, was caught off guard. Before he could even wrap his head around what was going on, a sharp blade was already pressed up against his throat. The blade glistened with a dark sheen, obviously coated in poison. Celeste, what are you doing? Stunned by the sharp turn of events, Trent was at a loss at how to react. He had never thought that the day would come when his wife would threaten him with a blade against his neck. "Stop calling me that. Your beloved Celeste died a few days ago." The woman smiled. "You're not Celeste. Then who are you?" Trent's expression was one of utter horror and confusion. "The Dark Lord is my master. Who do you think I am?" The sinister smile on her face remained unchanging. "You're the Dark Lord's disciple?" Hector frowned. This was a grave matter. They had never expected the Dark Lord to plant a mole in the Harmon family disguised as one of them. "So it is true that you're the one who poisoned Quentin. Guards, get her," Jacob ordered without further ado. "Stand right there." The woman made a slight move with the blade and threatened. "This blade is coated with poison. Just the slightest scratch on him, and you'll bid him goodbye forever. I suggest that none of you make any sudden moves." Everyone in the room stopped in their tracks when they heard that. "Let my brother go, and I'll spare you," Hector bellowed. "Ha! Do you think I'd believed you?" The woman held Trent hostage and began inching backward toward the door. As she did so, she taunted, "You lot are in luck. My intention had been to wipe out all of you today. Who knew you'd be so lucky to have someone here to save you? None of you would have been able to survive otherwise. Cut the crap. Let him go right this instant, or you won't make it out of the door alive." Jacob roared savagely. "Do you bunch of dimwits think that you can stop me? Anyway, I've had my fun today. I'll come back some other day to toy with you." When she reached the exit, the woman suddenly turned to Dustin and smiled seductively at him. "Hey, miracle doctor, don't you forget what you promised. When you have the time, come over to my room, and we'll have a nice long chat, all right? See you again soon." And with that, she produced a spherical object and hurled it to the ground. With a loud resounding boom, dense smoke burst out on the spot, clouding the visibility for a radius of several feet around them. "Quick! Spread out. The gas might be poisonous," Dustin warned at once. That gave everyone a fright, and they all dispersed promptly for fear of inhaling poisonous gas. By the time the smoke cleared out, the woman was already gone. Trent was left behind, lying on the ground. Unconscious. "Trent." Hector rushed forward to check on him. Fortunately, Trent was just unconscious and wasn't harmed in any way. "Get her." Jacob was livid. Gathering his men, he was ready to go after her to take her down. "Let her go." Hector stopped them. He wouldn't put it past the Dark Lord's disciple to have several tricks up her sleeves. It might be dangerous for them to go after her and fall into her trap. "Are we going to let her off just like that, Hector?" Jacob was peeved at the thought of her going free after all she had done. "Of course not. But now's not the time for us to take action yet," Hector told him seriously. They were out there in the open while their opponents were in hiding. The situation was not beneficial to them, and besides, without proper plan and preparation, they would only be led on a wild goose chase. "Damn it. The Dark Lord is really playing us for fools," Jacob hissed. "Let's talk about this later. For now, have your men arranged to send our guests back safely. Our family gathering will end here," Hector announced. "Sure." Jacob nodded and busied himself with the arrangements. Now that something like that had happened, there was no point in carrying on with the gathering anymore.